into, you've met her before. She's in her late 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s. On paper, she's past the age the world worships. But when you're around her, time feels confused. Wait, into, how is that possible? Her face might have lines. Her hands might show years of work. Life has definitely not spared her. And yet there is a lightness in her, into a brightness in her eyes, a way she laughs, moves, listens, and exists that feels strangely young, not immature, not stuck in denial, just alive. Into, Carl Jung wouldn't say she simply has good genes or the right skincare routine. He'd say something very different. Her soul is not cut off from its own source of life. Into, there is a rare spiritual quality she carries. And if you look closely, you can feel it. She is in touch with what Jung called the eternal child, the pure eternus, into, but in a healthy, integrated way, not as escapism, not as refusal to grow up, but as a lifelong inner spring of renewal, play, curiosity, and faith. This quality doesn't erase pain into grief or responsibility. It simply means that something inside her refuses to die while she's still alive. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought into, why do some women seem to glow from the inside no matter their age? Could this be the secret? This might be why. Into, let's walk through what this rare spiritual quality actually is and how it shows up in women who seem younger than their age. As you listen into, notice where you feel a quiet, that's me, even if the world hasn't affirmed it yet, because if it is you, you may be carrying something far more powerful than a youthful face. Into, the world worships surface youth. She radiates inner youth. The world's idea of youth is mostly visual. Tight skin, flat stomach, trendy clothes, ageless, into as in no visible signs you have lived. But there's a different kind of youth that makeup cannot fake. You see it when she lights up about something she loves. Into when she gets excited like a teenager over a new song, a sunrise, a random idea. When she's willing to look silly, try something new, or admit, I have no idea how to do this. Into, teach me. It shows up in the way she says, I'm learning.
Let's try.
Why not? What if? Jung believed we all carry inner images or archetypes, universal patterns like the mother, into the wise old man, the warrior, the trickster, and yes, the divine child. The child archetype in its light is not childishness, it's freshness. Into, it's that part of you that still believes something beautiful can happen, that still wants to play, that still wants to explore. Into, that refuses to see life only through the lens of disappointment. Most people slowly shut that part down. Life hurts, people disappoint, dreams don't work out. So into, they protect themselves by becoming hard, bitter, cynical. They call it just being realistic, but you can feel the deadness underneath. Women who seem younger than their age, into, they definitely know pain, but they refuse to let pain be the final authority on reality. They still laugh freely. They still get excited about small things. Into, they still fall in love with art, with ideas, with the sky, with life itself. This is the rare spiritual quality. Into, they keep a living relationship with their inner child without sacrificing their adult wisdom, not either or both. And that both is what people feel as youth. Into, she has known deep pain, but she didn't let it harden her. Let's be honest, life leaves marks, heartbreak leaves marks, betrayal, grief, illness, financial struggle, rejection. Into, they all carve themselves into the body, the face, the posture. Some women respond to this by armoring up. They say, never again, no one gets close. Into, I don't believe in love anymore. I don't trust anyone. I only rely on myself. On the outside, they look strong. On the inside, something has frozen. Into, women who seem younger than their age made a different choice. They also reach that crossroads, the one where pain says, close your heart. Into, it's safer. But something in them whispered, I don't want to live safely dead. So they did something spiritually advanced. They let pain break their illusions. Into, but not their capacity to love. They grieved, they raged, they fell apart, they questioned everything. But little by little, they did the work Jung talked about. Into, they integrated their pain instead of organizing their whole identity around it. They didn't stay in the story. Everyone is terrible, and nothing is worth trying. They moved into a wiser story. Yes, people can be cruel, but people can also be kind. Yes, love can hurt, but love also heals. Yes. Into, I've been deeply wounded, but I'm not going to spend the rest of my life punishing myself for it. This creates a strange paradox in them. Their eyes hold sorrow, but also softness. Into, their laugh carries history, but also genuine joy. You feel that they're not naive. They know how ugly life can get, and yet they still believe that faith, not blind optimism. Into, but conscious willingness to keep loving is a radiant energy. Bitterness ages you. Resentment weighs you down. Cynicism makes your spirit look tired long before your body. Into, reclaim tenderness that keeps you spiritually young. She knows how to return to wonder. If you watch carefully, you'll see another clue. Into, women who seem younger than their age have a secret ritual. They return to wonder on purpose. Not accidentally, not occasionally, on purpose. Into, it might look like taking long walks just to look at the sky, getting stupidly excited about flowers on the side of the road. Into crying over a song that hits something wordless inside, standing at the water's edge and feeling small in the best way, being fascinated by ideas, books, stories, history. Into psychology, spirituality. Jung believed the soul is nourished by symbols, beauty, and mystery. When your whole life becomes pure utility, work, bills, tasks, you dry up inside. Into women who carry this rare quality know that. So even when life is busy, they feed their inner world. They notice the way the sunlight hits their wall. Into, they smile at a child's curiosity. They talk to animals like they understand. They find magic in the way leaves move in the wind. Is that childish? No. Into, it's deeply spiritual because it means I am still amazed to be alive. Being easily bored isn't a sign of sophistication. Often it's a sign you've lost touch with your own soul. Into, this woman hasn't. She can be fully grown, paying bills, dealing with responsibilities, and still be moved by tiny details. That movement in her is youth. Into, her ego loosened its grip, so her energy relaxed. There's another reason she feels younger than her age. She is no longer spending all her life force trying to prove herself. To think of how exhausting it is to constantly live from your ego, needing everyone to like you, measuring your worth in numbers, status, looks, competing with other women, into panicking over wrinkles, weight, and what people are whispering, stalking your own social image like it's a stock price. That is aging. Not just skin-wise, soul-wise. Into, Jung said the first half of life is largely about building a strong ego, identity, roles, achievements, a sense of necessary work. But at some point, if you're evolving into, that can't be the whole story. Awakened women go through a pivot. Instead of asking, how do I look? They start asking, who am I really? They still care about their appearance. Into, they still enjoy beauty, but it stops being their God. Into, they're less obsessed with, do they think I look okay? And more interested in, can I look myself in the mirror and respect the way I'm living? Into, that shift does something to their face, their body, their aura. Less clenched, less frantic, less please approve of me. More at ease, more grounded, more naturally expressive. Into, you know that look when someone finally puts down a heavy bag they've been carrying too long. That's how it feels around them. They're still fully human. They have insecurities, bad days, doubts, but the constant background noise of perform has dialed down. The result, their energy feels lighter and lightness reads as youth. She keeps starting again. One of the most young qualities is this, the willingness to begin, to try something new, knowing you'll be bad at it at first. Into, to step into unfamiliar spaces without needing to be instantly impressive, to let yourself be a beginner again and again. Into, most people gradually shrink their lives to avoid that discomfort. By 30, 40, 50, they say, I am who I am. I don't do those things. I'm too old to start. Into, I've already tried. So life becomes narrower, safer, smaller, stiffer. Women who feel younger than their age do the opposite. At 40, she starts painting. At 50, into, she learns a language. At 60, she takes a dance class. At 35, she leaves a career that never fit and begins again. Everyone asks, aren't you scared? Of course she is. Into, she just refuses to build a prison out of that fear. Jung talked about individuation as a lifelong process. You don't become your true self by 25 and then freeze. Into, you keep unfolding. She embraces that. So she lets parts of herself appear late. The confident version, the artistic version, the spiritually awake version. Into, the woman who says no version. She doesn't shame herself by saying, I should have been this way years ago. She says, I'm this way now. Into, that's what matters. Beginning again keeps your inner world flexible. Rigid things crack. Flexible things bend and return. Into, that capacity to bend and return is one of the deepest reasons she feels younger. She didn't stop growing. She maintains a deep inner life even when no one sees. Into, there's an entire world inside her. Most people will never see it. The conversation she has with herself, the prayers or journal pages stained with tears, the thoughts she traces, into questions she wrestles with, patterns she studies. Into, you might see her laugh at dinner and have no idea that last night she stayed up late writing out the timeline of her old wounds to finally understand her own triggers. Into, women who seem younger than their age rarely have empty interiors. They may read psychology, philosophy, spiritual texts, reflect on their dreams and symbols. Into, track their emotional cycles, sit with their own pain instead of instantly numbing it. This doesn't mean they're always doing the work in a heavy way. Into, it just means they are in relationship with themselves. Jung believed that neglecting the inner life leads to neurosis, anxiety, depression, compulsive behavior. Into, when you're always running from yourself, you age faster inside. You're constantly chased. This woman stopped running. She turned around, sat down, started listening. Into, why do I always react like this? Where did I learn to hate my own needs? What am I afraid if I rest? What do I actually want from this next season of my life? into. Those are not small questions. They rewire your whole existence. And that inner honesty shows on the outside. When someone is at war with themselves, you can see it in their face. Into tightness, defensiveness, a constant flinch. When someone is in conversation with themselves, you see something else. Depth without heaviness, seriousness without stiffness. Into joy that doesn't look fake. There's room inside her, you can feel it. That inner spaciousness is youthful. She doesn't worship the past or fear the future the same way. Into. Listen to how she talks about time. Some people's entire personality is how great things used to be or how terrible everything is going to be. Past as idol, future as threat. Into. Their nervous system lives in then and later so aggressively that now is just something to endure. Women with this ritual quality relate to time differently. Into. She remembers the past, but she doesn't live there. She might say, yes, that season was beautiful and it's gone. I'm grateful I had it. Or, yes, into. That chapter was horrific and I survived it. It doesn't get to own every chapter after this. She fears the future at times. Of course she does. She is human, into, but she refuses to let fear become prophecy. She meets the day she actually has, makes coffee, answers messages, does her work, talks to someone who needs her, into, feels the sun on her skin for a moment and actually notices it. Jung taught that the psyche needs meaning in the present, not just hope deferred into some far off time. Into. This woman creates meaning now. She isn't obsessed with when I finally lose the weight, get the money, meet the person, fix everything, then I'll live. Into. She's living now in her messy kitchen with her imperfect bank account, with her heart that's still healing, with her laugh that's still loud. Into. Present moment living keeps your energy fresh. Regret freezes you backward. Catastrophizing locks you forward. Presence keeps you fluid. Fluidity feels young. Into. She chooses relationships that feed her soul. Not just her ego. Look at who she spends time with. Not the random people she must interact with in passing. Into. But the ones who sit at her table, who hear her unfiltered thoughts, who see her when she's not on. Into. The women who seem younger than their age rarely build their inner circle around competition, constant drama, gossip, endless complaining about how awful everything is. Into. They've done that before. It drained them. Now they lean toward people who tell the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Laugh easily without cruelty. Encourage growth, but don't shame struggle. Apologize, repair, take responsibility. Celebrate wins without turning them into a jealousy contest. Into. Jung would say this is the self choosing better mirrors because who you're around reflects back the part of you they relate to. Into. If you're always with people who only see you as the caretaker, you stay in caretaker mode. If you're always around people who are secretly threatened by your light, you dim it. Into. Awakened women start choosing differently. Friends who see their complexity, partners who don't punish their boundaries, communities where they can be both spiritual and human. Into. This doesn't mean everyone in their life is perfect. It means they no longer force their spirit to live in hostile environments. Into. And that changes them because constantly existing in relational war zones ages you. Hypervigilance is exhausting. Walking on eggshells is exhausting. Trying to earn basic respect is exhausting. When your nervous system can finally relax around some people because you know you're safe, you soften. That softness is youth. Into. She has made peace with being different. There's one more piece many people miss. A woman who seems younger than her age often carries an invisible history of feeling different. Into. Too sensitive, too intense, too dreamy, too deep. She might have been told, you think too much, you feel too much. Why can't you just be normal? You're so dramatic. Into. You care about weird things. So for a while, she tried to fit. She copied what normal looked like. She pretended not to care about the things that moved her. Into. She laughed at jokes that secretly made her heart sink. She agreed with values that were never hers. That pretending cost her. At some point, usually after a burnout, a heartbreak, into, or a quiet breakdown, she realized fitting in is killing me faster than being different ever could. Jung believed that each of us carries a unique pattern. Into. A kind of inner blueprint. Individuation is the process of aligning with that blueprint instead of contorting yourself to match whatever the group says you should be. Into. Women who carry this rare spiritual quality finally surrender to themselves. They stop apologizing for wanting depth, needing alone time, crying over small things. Into. Caring about energy, symbols, meaning choosing a slower, quieter, truer life over a flashy one. They stop performing the version of womanhood handed to them. Into. They start living the version that actually fits their soul. And when you stop fighting yourself, something beautiful happens. Your energy comes back. Not all at once. Into. Not dramatically, quietly. In your eyes, in your hands, in your voice, in the way your shoulders finally drop a little when you walk. Authenticity is energizing. Into. Self-betrayal is exhausting. She chose authenticity. That's why she seems younger. If, as you listened, you recognized yourself in these descriptions. Into. If you've always felt younger inside than your years, not because you're avoiding reality, but because something in you refuses to completely shut down into, then maybe this is the truth. It's not an accident. It's not just luck. It's not only skincare, food, or genetics. You may be carrying this rare spiritual quality into a living relationship with your own soul. You have been hurt, but you didn't calcify. You have known loss, but you didn't stop loving. You have felt old into, but something in you insisted on staying new. If you don't feel that way yet, but you want to, it is not too late. This quality is not reserved for a chosen few. Into. It grows when you tell yourself the truth about your pain. Let your inner child have a voice again. Rest your nervous system instead of abusing it. Into. Choose relationships that honor your depth. Begin again in small ways wherever you've given up. Into. Stop organizing your whole life around how you appear and start organizing it around what is true. Into. Jung would remind you, there is a part of you that is older than your wounds and younger than your fears. When you live from that place, that timeless self inside you, age becomes less of a prison and more of a landscape you walk through with wisdom in your bones and light still dancing in your eyes. If this resonated with you, into, I'd love to know which part felt like your reflection. Have you always felt a little younger inside? And where in the world are you listening from? Share it, not to perform, but to quietly say, I'm here. I'm one of these women too. And if you want more content like this, where we explore Jung's spiritual depth and the psychology of rare souls, into, you're welcome to stay, subscribe, and keep walking this path with us. Your body will age, that's natural. But this rare spiritual quality inside you, it doesn't have an expiry.